All right, let's get right into this because we have a genuine mystery on our hands today. We're going to talk about a show that is, by all accounts, a massive #1 hit, but it's also a show that a whole lot of people seem to really dislike. It's this wild paradox that kind of gets to the very heart of how we even measure success anymore.
So, if you just look at the official numbers, there's a K-drama out right now that is an absolute runaway success. No question. We're talking week after week. It is the #1 show in its time slot. It's pulling in these huge ratings in a time when, everyone says appointment television is dead. The numbers don't lie. Or do they?
Because at the exact same time, the official ratings are telling us this story of a blockbuster hit, the viewers, the actual people watching, are telling a completely different story online. A story that sounds a lot more like this one right here. Just a quiet confession that they've given up. So what on earth is actually going on? The show at the center of all this is called Typhoon Family. And look, it's a huge production. It's airing on a major network, TVN, and it's streaming all over the world on Netflix. The premise sounds amazing, right? It's a story about ambition and family drama, all set against this really intense backdrop of South Korea's 1997 financial crisis. It's even got that cool, nostalgic 90s vibe. I mean, it has all the ingredients to be a monster hit. And for a while there, it really seemed like it was living up to all that hype. To really get this mystery, you have to understand just how successful this show looks on paper. So let's start with the hard data, the story that the numbers are telling us. And I mean, just look at this. The show's dominance is undeniable. Typhoon Family hasn't just been #1s once or twice. No, it has owned the top spot in its time slot since the very first episode aired, consistently crushing all of its rivals. This isn't some flash in the pan. This is a sustained, powerful performance. And believe it or not, it gets even more impressive. According to the official ratings data from Nielsen Korea, the viewership isn't just stable, it's actually growing. It just recently hit a brand new peak, both across the country and in the super important Seoul metropolitan area. So more people are tuning in now than they were at the start. On paper, this show is an unstoppable force. Okay, but now let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this story. Because, what's on paper is one thing, but the internet, that's a whole other beast. And this is where that perfect success story starts to completely fall apart. So let's just recap real quick. It's at the top of the charts. Its audience is getting bigger every week. Officially, this thing is a certified hit. So you'd expect the online chatter to be, a huge party, right? Full of fan theories, people excited for the next episode. That's what you think. Well, as you've probably figured out by now, that is not the whole story. Not even close. There is this powerful counter-narrative that's just bubbling right under the surface of those amazing ratings. It's this groundswell of frustration and disappointment that's getting harder and harder to ignore. If you pop over to popular Korean community forums like the Koo, you find a completely different reality. It's just wave after wave of discussions that paint this picture of widespread disappointment, even fatigue, among the exact same audience that's supposedly tuning in. Honestly, the vibe is less fan club and way more support group. And the complaints aren't just vague, I don't like it kind of comments. No, viewers are being super specific about what's turning them off. And pretty much all of their frustrations boil down to one central, really damning feeling. This quote from a post that went totally viral, it just perfectly captures what everyone's saying. The show promised all this high-stakes drama, but viewers feel like it's just treading water. They're talking about entire episodes going by where the plot barely moves an inch, leaving them feeling like they just wasted an hour of their lives. And here's another huge complaint: the repetition. Viewers feel like they are watching the exact same frustrating situations play out over and over again. The characters keep making the same mistakes. And here's the kicker. Even when a storyline finally gets resolved, the payoff just feels meh, underwhelming. It's like a story that promises a huge fireworks display, but all you get is a slow burn that never actually catches fire. So, to be really clear, this backlash is aimed squarely at the writing and the directing. People are pointing to these repetitive storylines, resolutions that just don't feel earned, this painfully slow pacing that seems to think silence is the same as tension, and directing that just stretches simple scenes out for way too long. The feeling is, even with great actors and a big budget, the story itself is just failing. And then you see comments like this one. Now, this is just a rumor, of course, but whether it's true or not, it perfectly captures what a lot of viewers are thinking. That the show started out really strong, with a great setup, but that the writing quality just fell off a cliff after the first few episodes, leaving the rest of the season to just drift. So what we have here is this classic showdown. It's a tale of two completely different ways of measuring a show's impact, and right now, they are telling two totally opposite stories. On one side, you have the numbers, and on the other, you have the people. And this slide, it puts the whole conflict into perfect focus. On the left, you've got the official ratings, number one, growing viewership, a clear winner by any traditional measurement. And on the right, you have what viewers are actually saying, that it's boring, frustrating, repetitive, and that they're quitting the show. How can both of these things be true at the exact same time? And really, this is the key takeaway from this whole messy situation. Typhoon Family has become this fascinating, real-time case study, showing that record-breaking numbers don't automatically mean you have a happy, satisfied audience. A ton of people are tuning in, sure, but it seems like a growing number of them are doing it out of habit, or maybe just hoping it gets better, instead of actual enjoyment. Which, of course, leads us to the big, looming question. With this huge gap between the numbers and how people feel, is this whole success story built on a foundation of sand? How long can a hit show stay a hit if people don't actually seem to like it very much? For now, the show's number one position is solid. The ratings are still incredibly strong, you can't deny that. But that growing chorus of online criticism, that negative word of mouth that just spreads like wildfire these days, that is a very real long-term threat to its reign at the top. And that's really the question we're left with, isn't it? It's a question that's bigger than just this one K-drama. It's about how we even define success in the streaming era. At what point does what the audience feels, that negative sentiment, start to matter more than the raw number of eyeballs on the screen? It's a high-stakes standoff between the old-school power of ratings and the new power of the audience's voice. And for Typhoon Family, you gotta think the clock is ticking.